Hi, this week I'd like to talk about the documentary that was done by Hughes about Goya. One thing I do want to point out was the last video was talking about David and Goya, and I was kind of disappointed that the last video by Collins didn't really get into the life of Goya, but Hughes did, so I was pretty pumped about this video. So much that I actually watched it twice because there was so much information. I jotted down some notes to hopefully bring up the key points of the video, and I might ramble because there were some other parts of the video that were so interesting, but if you can bear with me, it'd be much appreciated. Thanks. Some of the facts from the documentary. One thing that I did like, because Goya's paintings were based on feeling, Hughes empathizes in the beginning of the video because he was in a car accident that left him pretty much good for dead, and he was in a coma for 6 weeks, and he had these terrors and views of life that were almost dark, just like Goya in his paintings. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he brings that up and kind of has the viewer empathize, and he empathizes with Goya as he talks about his life and his career in painting. One thing that I did like was that Hughes talks to Leon Globe, and he is an artist, and they both agree that that he has a wildness to him. He's almost like a wild animal or a dog. They refer to him as that. He has the ability to bite you. I think this is very strong because he also paints a picture of a dog trying to keep his head above quicksand, and it seems like it relates to maybe his internal struggle of trying to keep himself afloat, to keep working harder to succeed and show that he can that he can illustrate to the world everyone's life struggles and the ability to overcome. Regardless of these struggles, they may be dark, but there is hope. I think that's what he was trying to say to his viewer, but that's just my personal interpretation. One thing that I did like was Goya's propaganda. He had a little love affair with the Duchess, and I'm just going to call her Maria because she had this long name in the documentary, but it seemed like he had this desire or obsession with her, and it seems like throughout his painting career, he gets asphyxiated on stuff and he obsesses about it. But what we are told in the video is that he more than likely had this love affair with the Duchess, and it was long and ongoing, but he did become obsessed with her. And they illustrate this when they talk about a painting that is displayed in Goya's home, that they really feel that this Duchess never knew he did. And one interesting point in this this painting, he has his name written underneath her in the sand that says Solo Goya, which is kind of creepy, a little eerie, but kind of interesting. So I would like to know, if we could go back to the days of Goya and the Duchess, what was really going on? Because to me it seems like almost like a Us Weekly magazine or an OK magazine with the propaganda and the scandal. So it was kind of interesting. I want to talk about his shifts in painting. He started off painting for royalty, and he painted for a monk's building. That was actually one of his first projects that he painted in the monk's building, and he painted with oil painting on plaster, which didn't work out too well, but the monks restored it, even though they didn't really care who did it. But there is still one original masterpiece that Goya did that is still kind of, it's in okay condition, so you could kind of see that one wasn't untouched, so that was kind of cool. But it seems like Goya goes through a stage when he gets sick. He has vertigo. He's, doesn't feel good. He can't get around. He's dizzy, and he actually loses his hearing at this point in time of his life. And moreover, he I think has like this inner rage about what he went through. And after this incident that happened in his life that was so life altering, he does the lunatic asylum painting, and that painting is just an acid trip, I guess. Not that I do acid, but it's just so out of this world, like just the craziness. And there was sodomy in the corner, and in the guy who thought he was a king and royalty, and the fear and the scariness that's in the facial expressions of this insane asylum painting. It's scary. I mean, that's the only thing I could describe it as is scary. And I think after he lost his hearing and went through the vertigo and the dizzy spells and the sickness, I think he was scared that he was going to end up like his aunt and uncle, who is told to be in one of these insane asylums. There's other things he painted that I think were almost like a therapeutic way of dealing with things. He did a lot of witch paintings, which witchcraft was really big at this point in time of that particular era. But these witch paintings, I think, were done to almost relate to reasoning of why children were dying, because, witches live off of the souls of children. So Goya and his wife actually only had one child, but it was believed that she was pregnant more than at least 20 times in their whole love affair. And I think this was almost a therapeutic way of him dealing with the deaths of children and having the world deal with the deaths of their children dying, because the mortality rate of children was very high in this time. One thing I did want to get into was photojournalism. Goya is probably the first photojournalism artist there was. And what's funny about this is actually photojournalism wasn't around, and there wasn't even the camera wasn't even invented. But Goya was able to just capture the realism of the war, and the war between Spain and France, and the heartache, and the anger, and the patriotism, and everything, and actually his sketches of his photojournalistic view of the war is actually called The Disasters of War. And it's funny because these sketches and paintings are amazing, absolutely amazing, and so strong. I mean, that's the only way I could describe it as. They weren't very popular, and I believe they weren't popular because it was reality, and people didn't want to deal with reality. They kind of wanted to deal with the alternative view of reality. The best way I could explain it is, everyone wants to think of puppy dogs and rainbows, and not really deal with the reality of what's going on in front of them, because life's too short and it goes by too fast to focus on the negativity. But Goya understood the negativity in the world, and he, I think, used it as a lesson and as growth to teach people that you you go through what you need to go through to get through life, and you learn from those lessons, if that makes any sense. In The Disasters of Blood, he illustrates genocide. He illustrates rape. The way he does blood in some of his paintings. One particularly named The 3rd of May. The blood, it looks so realistic. The texture of it and the way it's just, it looks like the guy is flopping around and leaving the blood splats on the canvas, and it's pretty intense. The last thing I'd like to talk about, so I don't bore you guys to death, is the bullfighting era of Goya. He was never a bullfighter, but he became obsessed, just like he did with, war. I think his illness, and as well as beginning with the Duchess. What was kind of funny when they talked about bullfighting at the end of this video? I had to go back to the beginning and rewatch the one where the part of the video in the beginning where he is painting himself in a bullfighter's costume. I think there's irony in this. It shows his strength, like he was a bullfighter of painting, that he was, powerful and strong and courageous. Even though Goya never did bullfight, he did find a desire and infatuation with it. And he did do sketches of bullfightings and paintings. One painting, it was more of a sketch he did, was with the VIP member that was killed in the stands, which was pretty intense. I think that was cool. They didn't really talk much about it in the video. I tried looking it up online. Just intense because it just showed the wildness that was in the ring, and that humanity's trying to capture this wildness, but there's no way of capturing it. That was probably the best way I could describe it. So, that's about it. Like I said, this video was pretty cool. Probably one of the more jam-packed of information, so I know I probably missed a lot. But I do recommend this video, and you should really look into the life of Goya, because I think if you understand the artist, especially someone like Goya who's so complex, you're able to interpret his paintings a little bit better and understand what he was feeling at that point in time. All right, see you guys later.